Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here, so remember to subscribe for the latest videos. Ron Howard. The name echoes through Hollywood history like the chime of a legendary bell, a name so intertwined with cinematic excellence that even the stars seem to pause in reverence when it's spoken aloud. But behind this Oscar-winning director and former child star, who transformed from the lovable Richie Cunningham on Happy Days to the commanding director of films like A Beautiful Mind, Apollo 13, and Frost/Nixon, lies a secret so unexpected, so unfathomably opposite the glitzy Hollywood image he embodies, that fans are left stunned, speechless, and yes, maybe even a little queasy. Enter Cheryl Howard, his wife, his muse, the woman who has stood silently behind the curtain for nearly 5 decades. The world is now taking a closer look, and the reaction? Utter shock. Try not to gag, because what you're about to uncover isn't your typical Hollywood fairy tale. From her eccentric fashion choices that spark more confusion than compliments, to a lifestyle so contradictory to Ron's refined aesthetic that tabloids have coined her the anti-celebrity, Cheryl's emergence into public consciousness is like a plot twist no one saw coming. She's not your typical Hollywood spouse draped in designer gowns, dripping with diamonds, or parading down red carpets with perfectly sculpted features. No, Cheryl is something else entirely, raw, unfiltered, and entirely un-Hollywood. Her outfits are often homemade, sometimes even resembling costumes from forgotten Shakespearean plays, and her bold disregard for fashion norms has made her the subject of countless memes, viral discussions, and shocked reactions. Some call her a free spirit, others call her eccentric, but most can't believe that the polished, graceful Ron Howard is romantically entangled with someone who defies every glamorous stereotype in the book. It's not just her appearance that leaves fans in disbelief, it's the way she speaks in interviews, with unapologetic confidence about her off-grid lifestyle, her love for esoteric literature, and her obsession with medieval reenactments. Imagine Ron Howard, the director known for historical accuracy and cinematic elegance, sitting beside a woman who earnestly debates which herbs cleanse the soul best, all while dressed like a medieval sorceress at a Hollywood dinner party. Cheryl doesn't blend in. She explodes into a room like a character from a fantasy novel misplaced in a Beverly Hills brunch. But their love story is undeniably real, enduring, and emotionally rich. They met in high school, a pure, untouched moment before fame wrapped its golden claws around Ron's life, and they've been inseparable since. What Ron sees in Cheryl, and what Cheryl brings into Ron's tightly structured world, is something so profoundly rooted in authenticity and emotional connection that even the most cynical tabloids have to acknowledge the bond. She supported him before the Oscars, before the success, before the fame, when he was just a freckled boy with big dreams. And throughout all his milestones, his shift from TV to directing, his breakthrough into critical acclaim, his setbacks, his triumphs, she was there, not caring about his image, but nurturing his soul. Their bond is not about appearances. It's about spirit, about values, about something Hollywood can rarely manufacture. And yet, the contrast between their personas is so stark, so violently juxtaposed, that many fans can't help but gasp when photos of them surface online. Cheryl, with her free-flowing, earth-toned garments, her handmade jewelry, her no-makeup stance, and her wild, voluminous hair, looks more like a mystical healer from a remote village than the partner of one of the most respected filmmakers in Hollywood. She doesn't chase the spotlight, but when the spotlight finds her, she stands still like a statue carved out of rebellion, defiant and radiant in her own chaotic beauty. Online reactions have ranged from admiration to confusion to outright disbelief. Tweets flood in saying, "How is this Ron Howard's wife? And I didn't expect this at all," with many fans admitting they had never seen Cheryl before and now can't look away. Her unique presence is mesmerizing, disturbing, unforgettable. But perhaps that's the point. Cheryl is not trying to be anyone else. She is not auditioning for the role of Hollywood wife. She is who she is, and in a world obsessed with filters and perfection, her rawness is unsettling and deeply refreshing. As the media starts to spotlight her more and more, A new narrative is emerging, not of ridicule, but of reluctant respect. Because while she may not fit the mold, she's redefining what it means to stand beside greatness. She's not overshadowed, she's luminous in her own odd, poetic way. And her influence on Ron? Immeasurable. Cheryl has reportedly inspired characters in his films, shaped the emotional arcs of his stories, and challenged him to embrace creativity beyond the studio. She's the unseen force, the spiritual wind behind the cinematic sails. Their children, including the famous actress Bryce Dallas Howard, also speak of their mother with reverence and deep admiration, painting a portrait of a woman who may look out of place in Hollywood, but who belongs in the hearts of those who truly know her. Still, the disconnect between expectation and reality remains vast. It's as if the public had written an imaginary script for Ron's personal life, and Cheryl walked in, tore it apart, and rewrote it in wild cursive with lavender ink and pressed daisies. This revelation has left the public divided, some celebrating her fierce individuality, others cringing in disbelief, and all wondering what other secrets Ron Howard has tucked away behind his well-tailored suits and composed demeanor. Because if his partner for nearly 50 years is this radically different from the Hollywood norm, what does that say about Ron? Maybe he's not just a visionary on screen, but also in life, choosing a partner who challenges convention, defies trends, and anchors him to a world beyond flashbulbs and vanity. And that's where the shock turns into fascination, and the disgust, yes, even the initial gag reflex, melts into awe. This isn't just about one woman's fashion choices. It's about identity, love, endurance, and defying the shallow expectations society places on women in the shadows of powerful men. Cheryl Howard may not be everyone's cup of tea, but she is a force. And as the world peels back the layers of this unlikely love story, one thing becomes glaringly clear. You might not understand her, you might not even like her style, but you absolutely cannot ignore her. The journey into Cheryl's world doesn't end here. What's next will shake everything you thought you knew about Hollywood marriages, public image, and what it really means to love someone for who they are, not how they appear. So buckle up, because in paragraph 2, we're diving even deeper into the life, influence, and behind-the-scenes truths of Cheryl Howard. Prepare for revelations that will leave you reeling. As we step even deeper into the enigmatic world of Cheryl Howard, the woman who has defied every expectation tethered to being the wife of one of Hollywood's most polished and respected figures, the layers of shock only multiply, revealing a woman whose life is not merely unconventional, but a declaration against conformity itself. In a world where celebrity spouses often become accessories, seen and not heard, glamorous but emotionally distant, Cheryl has rewritten the narrative with unshakable boldness, trading red carpet appearances for remote spiritual retreats, replacing Botox and Beverly Hills glam with unfiltered natural aging and unapologetic eccentricity. Try not to gag, because the photos you haven't seen, the quotes you haven't read, and the truths you haven't heard will rattle even the most open-minded celebrity watchers. This is not just a quirky woman who happens to love fringe skirts and 14th century poetry. This is a woman who quite literally shapes the creative compass of one of cinema's most brilliant storytellers. Cheryl's rejection of traditional beauty standards, her affinity for meditative silence, and her obsession with documenting dreams are not simply hobbies. They are acts of rebellion that have stunned insiders and disturbed the aesthetically obsessed culture of Los Angeles. While other wives of A-list directors host foundation galas and flaunt fashion partnerships, Cheryl collects stones with emotional memory, journals about energy fields, and meditates at dawn surrounded by copper pyramids. She's reportedly refused dozens of offers to participate in documentaries, posed 0 times for glossy magazine covers, and declined interviews with Vogue, Vanity Fair, and even Oprah. She doesn't want to be famous. She doesn't want to be fashionable. She wants to be fully, brutally herself. And the reaction? Equal parts jaw-dropping disbelief and spiritual fascination. Some stylists have jokingly said they wouldn't touch her wardrobe even in a fashion apocalypse, while others whisper about her being a secret genius whose abstract way of living might just be the antidote to Hollywood's toxic image addiction. Those who have dined at the Howard residence report an atmosphere that feels less like a celebrity mansion and more like an artist's retreat. Crystals on the kitchen counter, Sanskrit verses on the wall, books about ancient rituals scattered across vintage furniture, and Cheryl gliding through it all barefoot, humming old folk songs. It's unnerving, intimate, and wildly different. The way she speaks about Ron in public is equally disarming. Not with praise for his fame, but admiration for his inner self, the Ron before the red carpets, before the Oscars. She refers to him as the boy who held stars in his eyes, not trophies in his hands. That emotional anchoring, that deep, soulful language, gives fans emotional whiplash. Because suddenly, Ron Howard, the man who represents polished Hollywood excellence, feels deeply human, deeply grounded, and profoundly influenced by a woman who couldn't care less about what people think of her. And that's perhaps the biggest twist in this Hollywood fairy tale. Cheryl has, unknowingly, become the counterculture heroine for a generation of people tired of manufactured perfection. In an era of endless plastic surgery, personal branding, and surgically enhanced identities, Cheryl's barefaced presence in wrinkled linen and mismatched earrings feels like a cinematic slap, shocking, raw, and unforgettable. Her children adore her for this. Bryce Dallas Howard credits her mother's offbeat worldview for shaping her own fearless career choices, saying in an emotional interview, "My mom taught me how to exist without approval. She told me, the only mirror that matters is the one inside you." That level of emotional empowerment isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. And now, as the internet catches up to who Cheryl really is, the tone is shifting from mockery to curiosity, from cringe to awe. Reddit threads dissect her interviews like sacred texts. TikTok influencers make videos analyzing her quotes on inner light and dream consciousness. Cheryl Howard, once an overlooked figure, has become an icon of radical authenticity. Still, that authenticity comes at a cost. There are moments when Cheryl's presence has caused visible discomfort at events. One unforgettable moment was at a major Hollywood gala when Cheryl arrived in a hand-dyed robe adorned with moon symbols, carrying a walking stick topped with a carved hawk's head. The crowd went silent. Paparazzi were confused. Ron smiled nervously. But Cheryl? She walked with unwavering pride, taking her seat among the sea of designer gowns like a queen from a forgotten civilization. That image went viral. The caption? Ron Howard's wife has entered the multiverse. And yet, underneath the memes and the giggles, a serious discussion was taking shape. Can a woman truly be herself in Hollywood without being ridiculed? Can a man as revered as Ron Howard love someone so unorthodox without damaging his brand? The answer lies in their story, their endurance, and their refusal to bend to public opinion. Cheryl has never changed to fit the mold, and Ron has never asked her to. He credits her with keeping his soul intact amid the chaos of fame. Directors who have worked closely with Ron note that Cheryl's spiritual insights often subtly influence Ron's vision. Whether it's the emotional tone in Parenthood or the redemptive arcs in A Beautiful Mind, Cheryl's fingerprints are there, soft, invisible, but deeply present. And now that the world is waking up to her, the fascination isn't going away. Fans who once gawked are now Googling. Critics who once snarked are now reassessing. Cheryl Howard is no longer the weird wife. She's a cultural phenomenon, a mirror reflecting society's discomfort with women who reject polish and embrace power in unconventional forms. The title, Try Not To Gag, becomes ironic, almost accusatory, as viewers realize the joke may be on us. Because in laughing at her, we reveal our own limitations. In cringing at her outfits, we expose our obsession with conformity. And in questioning her love story with Ron, we betray our belief that love must always look a certain way to be valid. Cheryl and Ron are rewriting what lasting love in Hollywood can look like. Not red carpets and mutual fame, but resilience, emotional intimacy, and radical freedom. So, as the final truth unfurls, let's ask the question no one dares to answer out loud. Maybe Cheryl Howard isn't out of place in Ron's world. Maybe Ron Howard is lucky to live in hers. This isn't a story of a mismatched couple. This is the story of a woman who dares to be fully seen in a world that prefers perfection. And it's the story of a man who chooses soul over surface, depth over dazzle, and authenticity over applause. Meet Cheryl Howard. Try not to gag, but if you do, know this. What you're choking on might just be the truth you've never been brave enough to swallow. And that's where the real Hollywood transformation begins. Thanks for watching Daily Gossip. For more shocking celebrity truths, glamorous transformations, and unforgettable emotional revelations, don't forget to subscribe and join us tomorrow for another story that will leave you breathless.